Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're doing another spooky movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's looking sus with me tonight?
Hey, it's everybody's favorite cheating bitch, Kenneth Sanity.
Oh, sorry, my turn. I'm Tiffany Albertin. That's it. Yeah.
And I'm Bill Tucker from the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. And they're not Swedish, Mike. They're Norwegian. Right? Just so you know. Just so you're aware.
Because he's a racist bastard, I guess.
Oh, boy.
That's how I took it. Because he keeps saying it. I'm like...
He does?
I think it's
Swedish multiple times. And the guy keeps correcting him. Kurt Russell. I can't tell you any name other than the actor name, so...
Yeah. I think it's just a running gag. I think it's... No,
I mean, it wasn't like that. It wasn't, but it just took me as like... Well, it's also the 80s, so I don't know.
Fair.
I took it he just didn't give a shit.
No, it was like, oh, you're going to correct me? Okay, so I'm going to say the word you corrected me on. Like that.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. So, we are here to cover, which is Patreon voted, The Thing. Came out in 1982 film directed by John Carpenter, which I have honestly realized I never saw the whole thing before.
Oh, what a joyful day for you then.
It's been years, at least 20 years since I've seen it, if not more.
I unfortunately saw the ending, and that's all I remembered was the ending of this movie, and then it turned out all I ever saw was the ending. So, yeah, that's the way you watch a suspenseful movie about mystery.
You knew what happened.
I knew the ending, where it was going. How about you, Bill? What's your history with this? And this was actually your pick.
I wasn't sure if this was mine or somebody else's. I couldn't remember. I know I've talked about this before. So my history is actually a little interesting. I was back when I was living in New York, and maybe, over a decade ago, I was doing a lot of film reviews and a lot of the film community stuff. And if you've experienced movies in any depth, you know what The Thing is. This is a classic horror movie, a classic of the genre. But I had never seen it until the year was 2014. I was at a bar in Austin, Texas. What?
Oh, really?
Wait, what?
It took you that long to see it?
Yeah. So it was just one of those things I just never, I knew about it. I heard of it, and I knew it was infamous. So it was 2013, and 2014, I was in a bar in Austin, Texas called Casino El Camino. Excellent burgers. And it's one of those bars that there's nothing to do there except eat and drink. No sports bar nonsense. It's very divey kind of vibe. There's no like giant TVs playing Texas Longhorn games, etc. And I'm sitting there drinking, and I look up into the corner, and this little, like, I don't know, maybe 19-inch CRT TV, like in the corner of the room. And I look up, and I see a dog transforming and mutating into some monstrosity. And I'm looking at this going, what in the holy fuck am I looking at? What is this? And then my film brain turned on and said, I bet you this is The Thing. Is this The Thing? John Carpenter's The Thing? And sure enough, when I saw the creature and everything that ensues, I'm like, oh my God, that's The Thing. So then, of course, I watched it. And of course, I love it. It's wonderful. And that's like the last I've seen it again in like 10 years. So this is interesting this time. And just for full disclosure to the fine folks listening at home, because I do believe in full disclosure and honesty, that I did not watch the movie again for this recording. I meant to watch it for this recording. However, I don't know. Last night I sat down to do so. And have you ever like sat down to watch something and you're just like, I don't think I can do this right now, like emotionally or like mentally? It's like, I don't think I can handle creature feature right now. So unfortunately I chose mental health for this podcast. No, it was one of those. I was like, I don't think I can do this right now. So I will attempt to share my experiences and my thoughts on it a little foggier and hazier than I like to when doing these shows. I know, right? It really did. We can all go home. Go to bed, everyone.
And again, what is your history with this?
Oh, man, my history is just, longtime horror fan, first-time caller, basically. I've been watching horror movies since I was a kid, like, always. And this was one of the ones that I remember growing up on. And it's just, it's one of those ones for me that has always been there. This is one that always, like, really stuck with me because it was the first time I had experienced a film that I felt was claustrophobic. And you never forget your first one.
I do not like horror films, or horror anything, as I've stated on the show many times, but here I am.
Horror.
Yeah, I know I say it wrong.
You sound like you're insulting these people.
I am.
Yeah, you're a horror.
So I have no interest in these type of movies. Yeah, here I am.
So what did you think of it, Mike? Since you are the one who evidently only saw the last 10 minutes of a celebrated horror movie, what did you think of the subsequent, or the previous, 110?
It's a good movie. It's not for me, but it's a good movie. I can tell you, I didn't sleep very well after the first night of watching this movie.
Really? Oh,
I did not sleep well. It creeped me out, and I just couldn't sleep. And then I watched the second time today.
Yeah. This is a scary movie. I mean,
it is.
I fell asleep through it the first time. That tells you something.
Well, I was telling someone I work with today that I was going to be recording a podcast on The Thing, to which he went, "Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's great." And we were chatting about it for a bit, and he's like, "Oh no, it's a masterpiece." Like, he's like, "I consider this to be a masterpiece, up there film. It's nearly." He's like, "This movie's almost perfect." And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know perfect. It's damn good, but it's hard to. It's damn good. I don't know about perfect, but if your definition of perfect is, and I've said this before on the show, is a filmmaker or artist's intention, like what was their intention? Did they meet that intention? Did they do what they set out to do? And I would say this movie does that perfectly. This is a perfect expression of a creature feature and, claustrophobia, isolation, being that feeling of just being alone and cold always. I needed a blanket when I watched this movie. Always cold, except when they're lighting things on fire.
The people in the movie, they're running around 40 below without a jacket on.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, listen, hey, when adrenaline kicks in,
below, it's okay.
When that adrenaline kicks in, and you're torching monsters with flamethrowers. I mean, come on. But yeah, I kind of think I have to really think about like whether I would consider this like a masterpiece. But as far as hitting every ball that was thrown at him and knocking it out of the park, he does. John Carpenter absolutely does. So this is stellar.
I don't consider many movies perfect. I mean, when you say perfect movie, the one thing that comes to my mind is Silence of the Lambs for some reason.
You make an argument.
I love that movie.
You don't like horror?
I don't. I love that movie. That movie's just. I don't know. I don't consider this perfect, but I get it. I mean, that's a very that makes sense for this movie. I disagree, but I understand. I mean, this movie also, when I was watching this, this was my first time seeing the whole thing, it really dawned on me, because I was really confused that you have a small opening where you see a saucer crash, and then you see the title screen, which we always have to mention in our episodes. And I was really confused because it says 1982, and then all of a sudden you see these guys shooting at a dog, and I'm like, why the fuck are they shooting at a dog? And I mean, I knew the ending of this movie, I know where the movie goes, but I'm like, again, why are they shooting at a fucking dog? And these guys suck at it. And then it was later on when it really occurred to me, well, of course they suck at it. They're not soldiers. I mean, trying to shoot a moving animal from a moving object is probably really hard in general.
I mean,
were
trained with those guns?
Not like that. Not for that.
Not for that. Okay, sure. Guess they were never hunters then.
Hunters don't shoot things from moving objects.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're science.
Yeah.
A bunch of nerds. And they didn't have Call of Duty.
Because that would help a lot.
At least you'd know the basics of flanking, if nothing else, right? I mean,
or how to
we've all played it.
Not drop a grenade on yourself,
right?
Or if you drop a grenade, don't dig in the snow for the grenade. Just run away.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if I ever had a live grenade and I dropped it, I'm not going to be trying to pick it back up. I'm going to be running.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Okay, I was just checking.
But that actually leads to, and Kenneth leads to a pretty good intro point. And the casting of this movie is sensational. I mean, this movie is perfectly cast. I can't imagine better, because you're right. They're just some scientists. They're not G.I. Joe soldier dudes. They're just, and that makes them relatable. And I think that makes it easier for the audience to put themselves in their shoes. They're not cut out for this. This isn't Resident Evil, right? They're just like you said, Ken. They're dorky people, just kind of doing their thing.
Of this movie wouldn't have happened if the guy just spoke Norwegian, because I'm assuming when that guy speaks, when the helicopter, he gets off and he yells something before they kill him, I'm sure he said, "That's not a dog."
Yeah.
I don't know. We didn't have subtitles, so that was hard.
Not a dog. It's a thing. Imitating a dog. Get away from it, you idiot.
I mean, and that's just,
right.
you think, I mean, that's the thing that this kind of got to me. It's like, man, if they just understood a different language in this movie, whole movie would have been like, and also, why did they just shoot the guy in the head? Like, I mean, I know he comes in their camp and he's shooting.
Just wing him?
Yeah, you think shoot him in the leg or tackle him? They just shoot him in the head and kill him.
But then they would have to give him medical attention or watch him bleed to death.
Then maybe they could translate and figure out, hey, that's he might want to kill that thing that you just let over here.
They haven't been able to translate a single thing the entire time they've been down there. So, like, stuff Copper brought back that was in Norwegian, nothing. They could.
But I think that's what really works in the theme of the movie too. Is that if they were able to translate and they were able to understand, then you wouldn't have the whole idea of this very suspicious type thing where you don't know who to trust. And what like my comment when it started, what I kept thinking of was Among Us, because Among Us is a game that came out a few years ago. It's an indie game, which is all based on you being a decoy and you sneak around and eat other people.
Why didn't I play that game?
This movie.
Yeah, which I like that idea that's what this thing is doing. That it's creeping around this complex and just murdering people one by one.
Actually, eat the people? Does it actually?
Kinda. You see that one guy looks like he's getting eaten. I don't know.
That's because it's like feels attacked and it's like this person's gonna kill me.
Oh, okay.
Audrey too.
What were you gonna say, Bill?
Well, I think it's like an absorption almost. You know, I think that's kind of what the idea is, like this melding, and that's what makes these, especially like the two-headed one they find. It's like this mooshing together and this conglomeration of two beings. Just such a creepy idea, and allows for so many awesome moments. I also like this beginning though too, even though it really is kind of sudden. A, it drops you right in, and B, it starts you off easy with a killing that's standard. Now, it's a person dead, right? We all have seen that before in movies, but it lets you know from tone, like this is what this movie is. You don't know what you're in for. Sorry, film goer in 1982 walking into a movie called The Thing, which might as well have been called The Random, the whatever. You don't know what you're getting into. Here's a taste. If you don't like this, you may want to leave. But even if you do like this, like, oh, I've seen Commando, that's fine. You don't even. And I know if you've seen E.T., which came out the same year, if you thought this was a kind, gentle alien movie, you are sorely mistaken.
I wonder. I've never seen a trailer for it. How do they advertise it? Do you remember?
It's advertised as a horror movie, as a scary thriller. I don't know if you see much of anything though. The movie poster with the one person with the extended hands, those creepy long fingers.
Yes,
that was pretty much everywhere. That was the main poster. So that definitely tells you a little bit about what you're getting into.
Aliens. Aliens. Odd people.
It does a good job of that. And one thing that really made me laugh early on is you have Kurt Russell playing chess. And for some reason, when he loses in chess, he decides to pour the liquor into the machine and just break their entertainment. It amused me for some reason.
I don't know. That fits Kurt Russell to me.
Yeah. It was just one of those odd things that just kind of went, oh, okay. But, what I should be saying is that, this movie does a really good job of playing with your, perceptions and what you think. And, so I watched this movie once and I watched it again. I still can't really tell you who's who and when people get possessed or, replaced. You can't, it's hard to tell.
Usually there's a telltale sign, and here there isn't, and I still had a hard time keeping the characters straight. For my cat to be like, no, that's this person.
And ultimately, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, but I didn't like that. I don't like that. I mean, yes, it makes it a good movie. I agree. But for me personally, I didn't like it when I rewatched the movie, and I still can't tell you exactly when some people get replaced, and I still don't really understand who was who at time. And does this creature, when it possesses somebody, or does it multiply itself that way? And that how it spreads is by replacing other people, and there's more of them.
I mean, essentially, its whole point is to take over.
Yeah,
that's all it's doing. It just wants to be the first, the last, the everything on a specific planet.
Yeah, and everything is survival, right? Everything is done for survival, and it's one of these. It's kind of like this cosmic, which is cosmic horror, right? That's kind of like this. The heart of cosmic horror is this all-encompassing, almost world-devouring force. So it's effective, and I like the. I agree with you, Mike. I always forget who bites it when, and again, I've only seen it, a couple times, but Yeah, exactly. And but I will say that I just like the fact that they are kind of every people, and it's just a group of people. And while I guess you could say you wish the characters were stronger, where it's like, oh, actually these people have distinct personalities. They actually do. So they feel like a real group of scientists. No one is too outsized, if I remember correctly. And this is hazy recollection part. So Ken, tell me if I'm wrong. They just feel like a regular group of people, which makes it work so well, which makes the horror so scary. Like there's no, McCready is the hero, but he's not really the hero. He just happens to be the guy with the best eyes and a flamethrower. So I don't know.
McCready's the protagonist, but I wouldn't call him a hero.
No, not in the slightest.
None of them are really heroes.
Yeah, but McCready straight up murders a dude at one
They
point.
were out for themselves, and that's kind of the point, that it was all like last man standing. Everybody protect themselves.
None of these, like we said earlier, none of them are soldiers. They're, like you said, nerds, and they're just kind of like, most of this movie, you see them just kind of playing around, like playing pool, just trying to pass the time.
Like the guy with the roller skates.
Who's like, turn down the radio. Okay, I'll turn it down. He just
turns it up.
Yeah, and then goes back to. It was just it works though. Like that idea of having people stranded in the Antarctic in a base, and there's nobody coming to see them until spring and summer or winter just started. Like it works well for that idea, for that isolation.
And then you throw in a storm,
which also makes things more interesting.
Yeah, like then okay, fine, they're down in the base, but at least they can talk to people. Well, now with the storm, they don't have any access at all. The radio doesn't work. Nobody can possibly come to check on them.
If like a modern equivalent to this is a movie that I think I might have almost put on the list for this month or whatever Spooktober, but it's not a spooky movie, is The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is an extremely similar vibe of isolation, can't leave. It's two people instead of a crew. And so if you dig this, like, again, this isolation, this claustrophobic isolation, like as Ken is saying, then I think you'll really dig The Lighthouse. And if you like gross, weird stuff too, full of that as well. And wonderful performances.
To watch.
Oh, The Lighthouse is, listen, people out there in podcast land, if you haven't seen The Lighthouse, if you got a stomach for some weird stuff, and just some gloriously good performances, and a performance by Robert Pattinson that'll finally make you forget that Twilight ever happened, because the man is an exceptional actor. He's a really, really good actor.
He didn't do it for me in the
I didn't see the Batman, but The Lighthouse is extraordinary.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. He just rolled his eyes at me. That's not going to happen.
Anyway.
But no, I like, because also a lot of the characters, they do feel like many different people, and they do feel like they, I guess, all have like a purpose, like what they're there for, like they specialize in stuff, and it works that there's a ragtag bunch of idiots, is the way I like to put it, because they're not the brightest people. And like you said earlier, they're trying to translate this thing the whole time, where if they could have just freaking read the Norwegian, it probably would have solved them a whole lot of problems.
You would think they would have at least one person that spoke or read it.
Didn't really have the whole multilingual is a good idea thing. This was in the tail end of American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of cocaine in the 80s.
Yeah.
And are you suggesting, Ken, that this movie was co-written by cocaine? Is that what you're suggesting, sir?
Not by cocaine, but I definitely think it had a co-starring role. Playing Palmer.
But I can see that.
Palmer liked his marijuana, but...
Okay, I thought that was funny to see him smoking a joint, too. I also couldn't figure out when Palmer becomes not Palmer anymore. That was the weird-looking guy that burst near the end when he tied to the couch, when they burned the blood. That was also the only other scene that I remembered from this movie when I saw it, who knows how many years ago. Which is not a way to watch a suspense thriller where you know certain things you shouldn't know when you're watching the movie. It doesn't help.
No, it kind of ruined it for you.
Yeah, it did a little bit, actually. Like, I was just very confused throughout this entire movie, and like,
meant to.
I know. Like, I really like the scene when they go to the Norwegian camp, and then they find the ruins, they find the cutout ice, they find the flying saucer. I really like all that. I think that is all really good build up to kind of help them realize, like, yes, there's something alien that's now with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that really gets me about this is that you do get a sense of desperation as the movie goes on, too. Like, that's Like, the paranoia is cool. I like paranoia. The claustrophobia is cool. I like. But also see, as the movie continues to go on, there's this just heightened sense of desperation in all the characters because they don't know. They don't know who's going to turn next. Oh, God, it's so good.
I mean, yeah, you can really see they have no idea. The other big question I have is why the fuck is there a flamethrower in the base? Multiple flamethrowers in this base.
For that reason, so they can kill their crew.
Like, I mean, you're a little like science camp. Why do you have flamethrowers? Like, what use you can have need a flamethrower for in Antarctica?
Ice?
yeah. Mass de-icing, sure. Perhaps it's an effective way of kind of like, the generator. Maybe it gets a little frozen. You give it a little toast. Well, I mean, listen, what else are you gonna do in 40 below? I mean,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, maybe it's more accurate.
I don't know.
It wasn't.
In case there's creatures.
Yeah, because it wasn't a flamethrower. Like, because I think of flamethrower, I think of the ones from the Vietnam War that shoot the napalm. I don't think this was napalm.
No, this I guess is gasoline, like gas.
Yeah, because the napalm ones stick to you and burn the hell out of you. So much worse.
Are you sure that's a flamethrower?
Yes, I know way more about war than I should know, but yes. So.
Oh, that scares me some days. Fear for my life.
I wanted to be a history major, even though I never went to college. So.
Does it? Did I miss it? Or does it state why they are there?
Science.
Science. Okay.
It's never stated. No.
So it's like the Big Bang Theory. They're trying to prove string theory.
No, and another thing I thought was I thought for the longest time until the movie proved me wrong. Where you have the dog that comes in and runs around throughout the point. You have you have a scene where the dog is walking around and it goes into this one guy's room. I don't remember his name.
Stanley.
Yes, but I can't remember the character's name. The dog guy. Yeah, and there's a scene where you see the shadow of him sitting in the room. It goes in there. I thought, okay, for sure he's one of them now. Because later on you have one of the characters that I thought was a doctor, even though he's not a doctor, Blair, because he was the one dissecting the body. So I thought he was a doctor, but...
So he called them Doc the entire movie, and there's a character actually that they called Doc, and so then I got really confused.
Well, you shouldn't have fell asleep the first time.
I'll straighten this out real quick.
Okay, let's go.
You got Copper. Copper's the guy who is the one that goes with McCready to the Norwegian base.
Oh, okay.
He's a straight up doctor.
Okay.
Then you got Blair. Blair's a biologist. Blair's the one that's played by Wilford Brimley. So also a doctor, but not a medical doctor.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So Blair is just really he took some chemistry. He dissected some frogs back in his day in high school. So he figured he was decent with a scalpel, so he figured he would try his hand on it. I gotcha. Sounds good.
Okay, that makes a little sense of why I was so confused. And there's also one scene that I caught especially the first time because I knew where this was going. But you see the dog watching the people. You see the dog listening to the people. At one point, he's sitting looking out the window, watching the helicopter take off. I like all those little build-up scenes where the dog is not acting like a regular dog.
Yeah, but I mean, really, that wouldn't make sense to me until after you figure it out.
Maybe I knew a little too much about this movie.
I think you had already seen it, so that's
I see the ending. That was it.
So this is a movie where you need to watch it and then rewatch it for all the little shit you missed.
Also, why wouldn't you be worried that a random dog just kind of runs up to you oh, hey, look, it's a dog. I guess we'll just take it along with us. I don't know. Yeah, I guess they didn't pay attention to name their dogs. Okay.
Dog that ever gave me shit. So if a dog comes up to me, I'm like, oh, hey, puppy.
See?
No, I know.
That's most of the human race. Oh, it's a dog.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you're the people that run away from PETA.
All right. Okay. That answers that question now. Okay. That's taken care of. I did like it when they go to the Norwegian camp. One thing I forgot to mention, there's a guy where you see his neck is slit and he split his neck and his wrist.
Mm.
That was interesting.
Oh, so was he the last man standing?
I'm guessing not, because two guys got in the helicopter and took off.
Oh, God. Does that mean they were infected?
No, because they burned. And they didn't burn. One guy got shot in the head and he didn't wake up. The other guy tried to take out his grenade and that worked out really well for him. So, yeah. Oh, no.
I swear I watched this movie.
Also, one thing that I really want to talk about that I forgot, I never saw before, when they put the dog with the other dogs, and I really paid attention to it this time, the dog doesn't react. The other dogs don't react right away. I thought maybe they would, and Tiffany mentioned the same thing, that maybe they would act up. Maybe they should start sniffing and realize, something's not right here with this dog over here. But they don't do anything at first.
But like the
It's
first
not until it starts to transform that they're like, oh my god.
yeah, but like
And
even when the dog goes in there, you see that the dog just kind of settles down and is watching all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the
And-
middle, watching them all.
And Tiffany, you have a story with this dog part.
Oh, I do? I get to tell my story
Sure.
now? I first watched this when I was 3. It came out the year I was born, but I pretty sure I was 3. It was on TV. My dad was supposed to be watching me, and he was watching me sleep. He told my mom he was watching me. But I woke up right as the dog started to transform, and my dad shut off quickly. And I was like, but Daddy, I want to see the puppy come apart again.
that is how horror movies start. I saw other ones like all of a sudden, fast forward, 10 years, you're in like, freshman in high school, you start turning demonic, you're staring at people, they light on fire. Like that's literally how all these things happen. So basically at 3, you were introduced to this movie by a falling apart dog. I did so 30-ish years later in a bar in Austin, doing the exact same thing at the exact same moment, watching a dog fall apart and going, what in God's name am I watching? And being delightfully intrigued. This is the scene where I always remember, and this is very memorable. A, it's a dog. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch dogs die or even mutate in movies. As I've said before on the show, you can't kill dogs and you can't kill kids. It's very hard to do both of those. At least in this movie, they don't really kill a dog. They just the dog kills other dogs, but so I guess that happens. But the dog mutates into a thing, right? So that's that.
A big question. So in
Yes.
this part, before they burn it because they're slow, does one part of it like get into the roof and escape? Ken, any word on that or any comment?
Well, I mean, it's
like
just,
when they're in the kennel, you're talking
Yeah,
about
when they're in the kennel,
with the dog.
right before they burn it, you see something like jump into the roof, and I was wondering if you think part of that gets away.
I don't think part of it gets away. I think it was just it was just throwing itself up onto the roof for stability because
Okay.
it was ready to fuck shit up.
Okay, because I was wondering, to me that was going to play another part. I was wondering if it got away then, and that's how it infects other people and mimics them, but maybe not. Okay.
See, I have a theory about this.
Okay.
I think that Bennings, the dude in the orange jacket or the orange vest,
Yeah.
I think he got infected when the dog was underneath the table. And he was like, Clark, get this damn mud out of here.
Oh.
But you see him getting transformed later on in that room.
Yeah, but
He's
that
saying he was affected the whole time.
when you're infected, it doesn't necessarily take hold right away.
Okay, so you think he gets affected when the dog... Because, the dog kind of like hurts him in a way because he gets upset.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, you bring up a good point. All right, I didn't think about that. I was thinking that...
Exactly how does it infect somebody, though?
Okay. Like, it's not a coincidence that this movie came out in 1982, around the same time that AIDS was starting to ramp up.
Oh, God.
Oh. Okay, I didn't think about that part.
So, like, I'm sure that, this is just a metaphor for the AIDS crisis. I mean, think about it. The only way you can tell if somebody has it is by a blood test.
Or if they're sick.
Yeah. Or if they're sick and showing signs.
Okay.
That never would have triggered with me, ever.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. Not in a good way, but it does make sense. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily bad. Is it dicey? Yeah, it might be a little dicey.
Could we do that today? Probably not.
I don't know. I think it makes sense when you think about it in that context. I just wonder if it was that self-aware or trying to say that much. I don't think this movie was trying to say a lot other than just be a really fun creature feature adaptation of a book. And I'm curious, has anyone ever read I think was it a novel or a short story? I forget which, but this is based off of a work of fiction.
I knew it was a book.
Yeah, novella.
Oh, so in between
from another world.
I don't know what novella.
A novella is where it's too long to be a short story and too short to be a novel.
Yep.
Also, like the Harlequin romance books.
Sure.
No one's backing you up on that one, Tiff. I think. I
they're
think
like 200-300 pages. Okay?
That's a novel then.
novel.
Yeah.
A novella's like about 100
like,
pages. Yeah.
Okay, I've read one like that.
I used to know this because I was my goal was to be a writer. That did not happen, by the way.
You should still try it.
I make a podcast instead now. I get to spread my
Your
entertainment that way. So, okay. But yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, basically this was an original novella called Who Goes There? by what's his name? John Campbell? John W. Campbell?
I think that's right.
John W. Campbell Jr.
Yep, yeah, you are correct. And then they made a movie about it
Yep.
in
And that-
1951.
The Thing from Another World, starring James Arness as a space carrot. A space carrot.
Fantastic.
But I did read the original novella, and the original novella was, fairly similar to this. It did feel very tight, like this movie does. Like, it was pretty claustrophobic for a book. But in 2019, they actually released a new version of it with additional stuff that they found when the author passed away. Now it is called Frozen Hell. And while I have not read that one yet, I have it, and I'm probably going to start reading it after I watch another movie related to this movie.
Okay. I have another thing that I want to comment on is so you have an early part where you have Blair and the dog guy are together, and he's like, you were with that dog for a while. And at one point later on, Blair's like, watch out for dog guy. I can't remember his name. So that's going to be his name, dog guy. He's the guy in charge of the kennels. He's the one that when they find out
Stanley, just call him Stanley.
when he finds out the dog dies, he's the one that goes running to the kennels. So he's dog guy.
His name is Clark.
Clark, how can we forget that, Clark?
Because he doesn't have glasses, he doesn't have a cape. So,
Last name
all right.
not Kenneth.
So it was Clark, because I was wondering when Blair tries to put the suspicion on Clark, I'm wondering if Blair is already the Thing at that time.
Well, okay. So there's a time frame here. So when Blair says to watch Clark, he is in McCready's, or not McCready's shed, but like one of the outbuildings, just kind of locked up in there. And that's where, McCready puts him in there after he freaks out in the research station and starts smashing everything, he destroys the helicopter, he destroys the tractor, he's ripping apart the communication stuff. That's to keep everybody from the outside not being able to get in contact. No one will come by them. That's what you're supposed to think.
Okay, because I know when I first saw the movie, I thought, okay, he's doing this because, he's watching the video, he sees how this thing spreads, and I think somewhere he does the math where it'd be 280,000 hours or 84,000 hours before the whole world is covered.
3 years. About 3 years, yeah.
3 years? Okay.
I was like, how long is that?
That makes sense. I mean...
Oh, I did it. I got my calculator out and looked it up. I seriously did. But then it says in the text later, I think they say 3 years. But yeah, I always read it as again, when you're watching it, you're like, why is this guy insane? You're trying to figure it out. But that's kind of like a behind. Later on, you're like, oh, this guy knows we're doomed. He's like, y'all screwed. We're screwed.
Why does he
We're dead.
trash all the whatever research then?
Well, he trashes the equipment so they can't get out.
Here's the thing, though. I'm pretty sure he's already infected by that.
Oh, you think he's already infected by it?
Yep.
Okay.
Why? Is it because it seems like it's because again, this is me recollecting. I don't remember this piece of it. But he go
pretty good.
This movie leaves an impression. Come on now, you should come on.
I should,
It's if I remember right, it's like a wild man. Like he's crazy. He feels crazed, right? Yeah. Is that kind of where you're going with it, Ken? Where this guy's crazed, something's mentally wrong, as opposed to him making an active choice. You know what? We're boned, and we can't let this thing escape.
Yeah, I think that's all an act.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I can see that. I actually really see that, and you think he's already infected. Okay.
Because Blair trashes the helicopter and their little mobile tractor thing that they used to get around. But at the end, he's also building a UFO to get out. Where's he get those parts from? From all the shit that he already wrote.
Okay, yeah, because I did see that part, and I was wondering if he was already building that beforehand, or after they locked him in there, he started building it.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think he trashed everything with the idea knowing that he was going to need those pieces.
Okay. That makes sense, because then they throw him in that random door, they throw him in that random hut and just leave him there, except Tiff brought up a good point, where she's like, is that place even heated? So it's like, I mean, and you see him with a noose. He has a noose in there. I don't know if they made it for him or he made it for himself, but there's just a noose.
I missed that part.
What, Ken?
He made it for himself, 100%.
Okay. I don't know. I just thought that was an odd scene, but I mean, it really is just kind of like, it's the way to get rid of that character when you have everybody else turning on each other little by little because they already know, because they already had that one guy that the fake hands that wasn't fully formed and then tried to scream at them and then they burn them to death. So you have that. You have a lot of interesting things. Like you have the part with the blood. Like I still don't understand who was the guy who went in and destroyed the blood. I don't know, because there's like only 2 people have the keys and neither of them turn out to be infected.
Right.
So I was curious, who do you think was the one that tainted the blood? Do you think it was Blair?
No, I don't.
Okay.
That's all we get. No, I don't.
Look, listen. I got no theories. Okay, I mean, I could look that up for you and pretend it's mine. But
it wouldn't be as hard if they were like, oh, they unlocked it and then locked it again. It's somebody with a key.
Yeah.
And I think all of this really, I mean, and again, this is I don't want to hand wave everything completely on this movie, but I really do think that a lot of this is just to build tension, right? And it's just to set things up for the next payoff, right? So, and I don't think it's being dumb. I think it's being intentional in understanding what the focus is. I think if you ask John Carpenter this now, he'd be like, "Who cares? Isn't it cool?" Like, were you scared as we creep down, or were you concerned when the blood things are broken? You were.
I was concerned. Cool. I want to know who did it.
Yeah, I'm curious about the lore. I want to make sure that I can fill out my grimoire or whatever.
Well, that's just me. Like when I watch a mystery movie, I want to go back and be able to put things together. Like Memento, it's a movie where you watch it once, you watch it a second time, you can put all the clues together. This movie, I watched it twice. I still don't know what the fuck happened sometimes.
Because this is not a dumb movie, and I'm sure there are pieces that obviously I'm not connecting, and that's fine if we're not connecting it. I do want to linger though on some of the creature things, and I think we're getting to some of the really fun. We can talk about that. Mutations, because I really do want to linger on that stuff when we get there for a number of reasons. But I think a lot of this is just beautiful setup. It's just creating all this tension and dread. Don't know what's going on. The crew doesn't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. And it's just this beautiful tension that's just wonderful. It's wonderfully executed.
I mean, the monster stuff is also really good in this, like the transformations. Like, you have the early one with the dog, and then you have other ones later that get, like you're kind of mentioning, like there's one where there's a guy where he gets hit by Kurt Russell or something, or he gets pushed over, then all of a sudden he like stops breathing. They take him into the room, and they're trying to, get him to breathe again, and all of a sudden his stomach opens up and eats the guy's hands. Like, that was good. I thought of Bill immediately.
Oh, yeah. Every time something gross happened, you thought of me. How sweet. How sweet of you, sir.
I mean, I don't know if you remember that scene, but look it up. Like, you see, like, the guy goes with the paddles to, shock him back to life, and all of a sudden, the stomach opens up, and his hands go inside the stomach, and the teeth appear, and it closes.
That's great.
Stop shocking me with electricity.
And there's so many moments in this, and Ken, I'll let you chime in as well with this, because, and this is going to be one of my PSAs, my public service announcements, for those who are working in the film industry. I don't understand why we're not doing more of this. Practical effects, having the craft of every effect in this movie, even though it's a rubber hand and it's slimy goop that they made in a beaker, you know all these things, right? Because we're sensible human beings. The person they pull out of the ice and has got the 2 heads and all that. Like, all of that, yes, I understand it's a rubber head, but for some reason, thanks to the magic of motion pictures, it's there and it works. And it still works today, 30, 40 years later, or whatever it is now at this point.
You have to respect the skill, and I miss practical effects. That was my favorite part of a movie, because my dad would have me watch behind the scenes. Hence why I wasn't afraid of the puppy coming apart, because he showed me how it came apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't know why we're not doing more of this. It can't be mixing up a bunch of blood with some fructose and corn syrup and some red number 10 cannot be more expensive than computer generated wizardry. That ages in 5 years like old bread.
What are you talking about? Blade 2 CG still holds up perfectly.
Oh, just chef kiss. I'm immersed immediately.
For fuck's sake, the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone CGI does not hold up.
Oh, no. Agreed. Absolutely. You're 100% right. Ken, I want your take on just this overall theme of visual and the creature feature effects. I want to hear your take on it.
Well, I mean, look, nothing is ever going to beat a good practical effect. Nothing. I don't give a shit. Like, okay, there's one thing that you can convince me where CG was worthwhile. Two things. Those are Jurassic Park and the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yep. Agreed.
Like, those are the only two things where I'm like, you know what? Yes, they needed to use CG. But most of the dinosaur effects in Jurassic Park are practical
effects.
Like, practical effects always make a difference. And this was a huge thing because the person in charge of the effects here, Rob Bottin, was 22 years old when he started working on this.
Jesus.
Ooh, really? I didn't know that.
Cool.
Wow.
That's young to be, working on something like this and make it look, because it does look really good. It looks real. I mean, it is real, but it looks
when he was a kid.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, they did a really good job with this effect. It was very creepy as hell, even in 2022. Creeped the hell out of me.
It could probably be done better today, but for the movie, it still holds up for me. I mean, I like it.
Yeah, like this, it holds up so well. The way that they decided to have the thing express itself by being the sum of its parts rather than just an individual. Like, the dog was a combination of all the dogs that it just destroyed. When you see, Blair at the end, Blair's got dog in him.
Yeah, okay, I did catch that.
I missed it.
Because he throws the dynamite right in his face and you see the dog.
Yeah. Oh, man. When he throws the dynamite in his face, he's got one of the best lines in this entire movie.
I don't even remember the line, by the way, so.
When McCready throws the dynamite at the Blair monster, he just says, "Yeah, fuck you too."
That's just a Kurt Russell thing, right. I feel like.
I feel like that was ad-libbed.
I'm good with that. It is fantastic. It's a wonderful moment. It's one that it's just it's not even quippy. It's just a great little I love it. It's a fantastic moment. And by the way, and just again, I think I mentioned it in passing, but Kurt Russell is so incredible in this movie. He is really at the top of his game in playing a role you would think be easy. Right? All right, you're the like Kenneth said, you're the protagonist. You're the person that moves the plot forward. You're the one that's not going to die until maybe the end. I don't know. But he lends this everyman intensity. He's intense in this movie, and he's the only one that seems to know the next thing to do, even if it's the wrong thing to do. Sometimes in life, you just need someone to say, what's next? You ever be in a room with 10 people or 5 people? Hey, where do you guys want to go for dinner? Oh,
I don't care.
Oh, I don't care.
I
don't care.
Every
Every group needs one person to say, fine, we're going to Johnny Carino's because I could use some lasagna. And that's what we're doing. Saddle up, y'all. Let's head on over. Like, people need that. And Kurt Russell plays that role so well. And I got to look. Yeah, I got to remember because I was looking at some clips beforehand. I didn't completely come in here blind. His eyes are so intense. He has like those steel gray eyes. They remind me of Aaron Paul in Breaking Bad. He has the exact same eyes. I feel like just those piercing eyes, just entrancing, and it just lends itself very well to this. To this.
Your man crush?
No. He is.
Sure.
He is no Benedict Cumberbatch, and
it's not Michael Cera.
Oh yeah, Michael Cera. No, Michael Cera. No, not Michael Cera. Sorry.
I know you don't like him at all.
No, he could be. I'm not a fan of him at all. But he's no Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's no Ryan Reynolds. So, but
Oh, Kurt Russell is great in the movie. Kurt Russell's the only reason why I had any desire to even watch this film. Because when I was younger, I was a big fan of his movies. I really love Big Trouble in Little China.
You watched
of course.
No.
Oh.
I love Big Trouble in Little China. I love that film.
You were so weird.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
When are we covering that one?
It's going to happen one of these days. So,
checking. I will not be on for that one.
I will be.
Yes, you will be, sir. It's your own podcast. We put on 4 strangers. Hey, just record away. I'll post it up for you.
Okay, who wants to introduce?
Hey, I mean, at this point, I got a whole bunch of a cast.
You're scared.
Are we sure it's a kitten? Maybe we should test her blood.
Hey, Ken, do you and I and somebody else, maybe Blair Farrell, you guys want to do a podcast on his show and just have him completely out of the picture? What do you think?
Show.
He's like, sure.
Show.
Oh, and then as the movie progresses, like things completely hit the fan. Like you have the blood test part, which I think is also another really good scene. After you have where the guy ends up, the guy goes crazy, or not go crazy, but they find out he's infected. They burn him. They have a part where they test one of the guys, and when they burn the blood, all of a sudden the guy starts shaking and burst out into the thing. I like that part.
Because they're like all connected, yep, they can be separate.
Yeah, because when he burns the blood tries to rush them, and then the other guy, Radio, who they always call him, they call him Radio, right? Or no, Windows.
I was like, who the fuck is Radio? We're not watching that movie.
He operated the radio, so he became Radio in my head.
Windows. Why do they call him Windows? His last name?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
See, this movie could have really used subtitles for me because I couldn't read anything, and I was sad. I was watching some Blu-ray, and my Blu-ray didn't have subtitles.
You were also playing a game.
This time, not the first time.
Okay.
I was editing a podcast, not playing a game.
Okay.
Editing.
Okay. We clarified that. It's okay.
What were you going to say, Ken?
My Blu-ray has subtitles. Why doesn't yours?
I don't know. It didn't have subtitles. Okay, it could have been that my dumbass couldn't figure it out and didn't look that hard.
I agree with that one.
But, like, yeah, my Blu-ray didn't have subtitles.
All right.
But my guess is that somebody didn't go in the right menu.
Yeah, that's my guess as well.
So
yeah,
I wasn't there to hold his hand.
That was operator error. So I guarantee you.
Into the options, like the main menu, I just clicked triangle on my PS4 controller and went to where it said subtitles, and it didn't let me do anything, and then I gave up.
That's because you
set them. Supposed to go on the menu.
And you got to hit square.
I'm used to Netflix. This wasn't Netflix. So I also like the idea as the movie progresses and you run out of characters, you have like, I think maybe 4 people left alive or so from this near the end. I think it's 4 or 5 people.
How many did we start with?
Todd, Knowles, and Gary are going after Blair.
Okay. Yeah, because that's when you have them like start. That's when they kind of start like burning, like they start blowing up everything, and they realize what the creature's goal is to do is just freeze them all out. Because I think the generator gets messed up at one point.
Yeah.
The generator gets like that. Like he's like, the generator's gone. What do you mean? Like it's gone.
Yeah, like the creature's already been frozen, and it was still alive. So he's just like, fine, you know what? I freeze, I'll come back to life. You freeze, you won't. Fuck you.
I'll call your bluff. Let's do this.
I like that idea. I like the fact that it realizes after a while that it can't beat them, that it can only really just, the only way to really defeat them is to freeze them out and then let the people come and rescue it and then go with them. I do like that. And also another question I was always thinking about during this movie is it picking up on their mindset? Like when it takes over someone, does it pick up their memories?
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
If left alone, is essentially a quote-unquote perfect copy.
Okay.
Like with memories and everything?
Apparently.
Okay, because it wasn't just me then. I kind of picked up on that too when I was watching this, and I was thinking how it had like certain, it was doing certain things, and it seemed to be learning based on what they were saying or as it possessed different people. So, okay.
Maybe it was learning like how to be that person.
I mean,
just because you dress up as Tiffany doesn't mean you're going to be Tiffany.
No, but if you shoot Tiffany with goo, I guess, and then absorb her into your body, I guess then you have memories. I don't know. I mean, that's what it did in this movie. So
you've never seen The Body Snatchers, have you?
No.
Ooh.
Can we fix that? We can fix that, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Excellent.
We should have put that on Spooktober.
Which one? The original one in black and white? I've seen that, actually.
No,
I don't believe you.
I have. I mean,
the one with Jeff Goldblum. Wasn't he in one of them?
He was, yeah, he was in the 70s one.
See that one?
Okay, I know there's the one, the Daniel Craig one, too, later on with Nicole Kidman.
Because he's shirtless in that, so, I'll get a good, that'll be fun for me.
He's also in The Fly, too.
He's shirtless in that.
I don't need to see that movie again, ever.
Why not? You want to see, what's her name, have the baby?
That movie is gross.
That's the second one, I think.
The movie is gross as hell. I watched it once. I went through a phase where I tried to watch horror movies when I was older, because I skipped all the horror movies when I was a kid.
Because you're a wuss.
Yes. And that was one of the movies I watched the original black and white Body Snatcher, watched the original Night Living Dead in black and white, stuff like that. Apparently I never watched the thing, though, I realized.
I'm trying to not to sway too far from this, but I'm trying to think if there's a month that begins with C. There is not. That way we could do like Cronenberg Fest, where we can just like make you watch The Fly, Videodrome, like all. Just really just get you in the mood for
I don't like black and white movies either. I don't.
You like Schindler's List?
I've never seen it.
What?
I know. As a guy
Guys, I need a divorce. Somebody help me.
Yeah, never seen it. I've loved World War II stuff. Never seen Schindler's List. I've seen the real stuff. I don't need to see the movie. I know what happened, unfortunately. So, I'm good. One day. All right, and I think, and then
on the podcast.
Yes, and you have a good scene where Blair infects the old guy. I don't remember his name, but he shoves his hand into his mouth and then infects him that way.
Yeah, Gary.
It's good though.
He's great.
And then I think we're just only a few last things I want to say. Like you have the part where when they're in the cellar, that's when he does the blow up with the dynamite, which I liked. I like the part when one creature lit on fire, runs out the door to try to survive, and he throws the dynamite at it and blows it up.
Mm.
Or the idea when Kurt Russell comes back to the camp after they think he's a monster, and he knows that he's a monster, so he just has a flare and has a dynamite and says, "Sure, blow me up, I dare ya."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He does make a comment at one point where he's like, "I know I'm not a monster, so it must be one of you."
And I love this, and Ken mentioned it earlier, but I love this more than paranoia. We're now in mutiny world. We're now in mutiny, everyone for themselves. And the movie does this so beautifully because this is exactly what would happen if a group of people, any people, were together in this situation, not with a monster, but any sort of threat that was lingering with the fear of freezing to death, no more food, we have no way out of here, we got to stay here for 4 months. There's a monster attacking us, and the fear now who's infected, who has the disease. I adore all of this. Have we gotten to the point where McCready actually shoots the one guy in the head, just kills him because he goes after him with the I think he had a knife or something.
Yeah, he has a knife. I mean, that was Dog Guy, as I kept calling him, Clark.
Right.
It was early on, you're in that. It's around that part before all the fire happened when he tries to stab him with a knife, and then Kurt Russell just shoots him in the head.
And you learn so much about the character in that. You learn so much about who he is, and isn't. Again, I don't know if this is the right thing, but this is the thing I'm going to do right now, and that's really all it is. And it's again just setting tone and setting stakes. That is wonderful. It's wonderful.
I also think part of it is he really believed that Clark was the thing because Blair put that in his head.
But Blair was already infected, right?
Yes, okay. And that's why Blair said it to get this sent off the trail.
But see, he didn't know that Blair was infected.
No, but as you look back at the movie, I think that's why Blair says that.
That's why you need to watch it and then rewatch, because it'll make a little more sense.
Well, a little bit.
I don't know. Mike said it didn't. I think it'll make a little more sense if you watch it again.
Mike was also editing Doom 3 at the time, so hey.
Yes, and with no sound on, evidently. So no sound or subtitles.
I had sound
and
enough subtitles. I couldn't. I only hear when I edit, and then I usually read subtitles and have the other ear hear the TV. But in this case, I can only hear the TV. I couldn't read the TV.
He had already seen it, so he didn't care. He was trying to explain it to me. It wasn't working out.
Yeah, we learned how that goes. Remember we watched Sandman? I read the books and tried to explain it to you, and I still couldn't. So hey.
He said, "Hey, I read the books. If you have any questions," didn't answer one of my questions. Okay.
Oh, and one of the last things I want to talk about in this, or I'm going to talk about the ending. Anything else you guys want to cover that we haven't mentioned yet? Ken or Bill?
Y'all got a favorite line?
Oh man, that's a very good question.
I like the ending probably. That's my favorite line. What they say at the end.
We'll talk about it. I mean, we could linger on all. I don't know. What's yours, Ken?
Mine is probably when Norris's head detaches from his body and grows legs, and lumbering out the door, Palmer looks over and you gotta be fucking kidding.
But isn't Palmer's infected at that point?
Maybe.
We don't know. No one knows.
We really don't know.
It's shortly after that Palmer flips out.
It's all aliens for themselves.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe he was saying, "You gotta be kidding me," because he was like, "Oh, really? You're gonna be this obvious about it? Now they're really gonna kill you."
Really, you're gonna leave me behind? Just kind of leave me, head and legs, and just drop off onto the snow, huh? Great, thanks.
Okay.
The head was one.
I know. Because you like gory, freaky stuff like that too.
I like special effects like that.
I do not. I don't sleep well with stuff like that.
I like that. I did a report in college, that 1 year college I took.
More than me.
So Ken, what Cronenberg movie are we making Mike watch next? What's the first one you think we should ease him into?
Oh, it's gotta be Videodrome.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking the same. Videodrome. That makes sense. Cool.
I have no idea.
I've never heard of that.
Or Scanner.
Oh, good. Scanners be good. I think
Scanners.
Scanners.
Okay, I've seen 5 minutes of Scanner from the guy's head blew up, and then the movie got turned off.
And then that was it.
Perfect. Let's do Videodrome. He's never seen a single minute. Doesn't even know what it is. Tiff doesn't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
And we'll make that happen, Ken.
Everybody pay attention next Spooktober because we're going to have some Cronenberg coming at you.
That's it. And nothing but on the docket. Nothing but Cronenberg on the
that can be our next
on the poll.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Just make a poll, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike,
that can be our next poll, Michael.
It's your show. You don't have to make it a Spooktober thing. You can make it Nasty November or Deadly December. It doesn't matter. Just make a poll of Cronenberg stuff.
Yet. Jerky January. You just do all the things that everybody forced you to do that you didn't want to have anything to do with.
That's the one we watched with.
Ken, I missed what's January?
Jerky January.
There we go. Oh, so good. Anyway, this movie is too good for us to completely dance around it. So I don't really have a favorite line. I do like those reaction ones though, because it adds so much flavor. It's great flavor for what's going on, and it just makes you laugh, and it also kind of lightens the tone, because again, the balancing act this movie does with tone is beautiful because when you think about it, it's kind of silly, right? We kind of analyzing it, and how this person get infected, and you think about it, but then the tone balances out the silly, but then you get some one-liner like that, and it comes back in, and it's like Thanos with that dopey balance thing on his finger. It's just right there. It's just
perfectly balanced.
It's in the pocket. It's in the pocket, and that's the best way I can describe it. And because I said this to my friend who I was talking to today, I'm like, I don't know, but it's kind of like this. It's like a little silly. It's a little dumb. And then after really thinking about it and actually watching some scenes online before this recording, I'm like, oh no, it's not. It's actually not dumb. It's not dumb at all, and it's fun. It's not silly. It's fun.
I do want to talk about the ending because I have a lot of questions about that. You have one of the characters, I can't remember the guy's name, the black guy, Keith David, which I know the actor's name.
Child. And he's in the movie off and on. He's one of the guys that wants to take over. They do the blood testing on like everyone else. He's not infected, but you have a point where he disappears when they're off trying to blow up everything up. And the very end of the movie is he's wearing a flamethrower, and then he sits down next to Kurt Russell's character, and they're both just going to freeze to death, and they know it. He makes a comment. He's like, we're both too exhausted to do anything. You think he was? Or what? Bill, did you look up the ending before this?
I did. I saw the whole ending. And may I say first is that this ending is spectacular. This is spectacular. This is a brave ending to a movie that could have ended very cliche. I just think two people won the quote unquote. they won enough, and now they're just going to freeze to death in the cold, which I think is probably you can make your mind up whether it's scarier than turning into a monster with nothing to eat. And at the end of the day, if they turn into a crazy flesh monster, one of them's going to eat the other, and now y'all hungry. There ain't nothing there. There's nothing.
I already killed all the damn dogs.
You killed everybody. You killed all your food is gone. So you're just going to be going to yourself for the next however long it takes to perish. I don't think so. Go ahead. Wait, say that again, Ken. We missed that.
I said, or he's just going to freeze, which is nothing to that monster.
That's true. He has a point.
Good point. It is.
Okay. I was just wondering if because I was thinking to myself, what if, Keith David's character actually is the monster at this point. Like, he's the last bit of it, and they just, he doesn't need to kill Kurt Russell because they're just going to freeze. It doesn't matter to him.
I had to leave it open for a sequel.
Except there never is a sequel.
Isn't there?
The 2011 movie is not a sequel.
No, I thought there was a 2. No?
Ken, is there a second?
There was going to be, actually.
Oh.
They had announced a sequel was going to happen as late as 1999, but it never came together. However, there was a video game, the Thing video game for PS2, Xbox, and in that, McCready survives, and that Carpenter considers that game canon.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
I know what we're playing on the show now at some point.
I know, right? Totally. I know.
I have to watch you this time.
Hand me some PS2 emulators, and away we go.
I can help you with that part.
So
I know
the 2011 one, is that a remake? If it's not a sequel, is it just a flat out remake? I never saw it. I wasn't going to see it.
Yeah, like a spiritual remake. Yeah.
My Google, it's a Norwegian team. So I don't think it's from my understanding, it's the team that we saw in this movie that's all dead except for the two idiots. It's that team.
From their point of view.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like Rising Sun or whatever from...
It's a prequel.
The Twilight guy lady.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. That was
it's not that. But yeah, like what Ken said. Yeah, I didn't know that because I didn't even know there was a second movie, even though like it wasn't until recently when I was like, oh yeah, there's two movies called the same thing.
Yeah. I got a lot to say about this movie if we ever cover it. But if we don't, allow me to say here and now definitively for the record, the new movie is not as bad as everybody says it is.
You're telling me the internet's wrong?
Well, yeah. That's blasphemy.
Okay, I am, as a guy who had no interest in covering this movie for the show or have anything to do with it, now I'm interested to cover the prequel and to cover the game, especially now the game. Now that you tell me that the game's is a sequel and considered canon, I'm in.
Interesting. That's interesting. I've heard similar things, Ken, about the sequel. I've never seen it, prequel, I guess. But I gotta say, when it comes back to that ending, for me when I saw it, I was like, I don't think either of them are. I just think this is a slow death kind of really moribund ending. However, I think there is some goodness. There's a coolness factor too. If one of them is the thing and one of them devours the other and they freeze, so people are coming back there in about 5 months. Like someone's coming back to rescue them, and they're gonna be stupid and say, "Watch this," and take it back to some dopey lab, and all of a sudden, there you go. And now Blair's prediction and his computer thing is true, and we all die in 3 years. So I don't know if that's what the game is about, but
okay. Well, if you're interested, I can help you find out at some point when I make myself play it.
I have a funny feeling a AOL message is going to be coming my way. Oh, sorry.
AOL Facebook message?
An AOL.
Wow, you really.
Are you gonna hit me up on AIM and
turn back time? I'll pull out MSN Messenger while I'm at it too, and Yahoo Messenger, and maybe we can get the game off Kazaa.
I don't think you have my ICQ, but in case you don't,
I remember ICQ.
Yes, you do.
Kazaa was a very bad early download thing. It was a torrent essentially, but it was bad because let's say here you want to download Harry Potter, but then you end up with other movies that it would sneak onto your computer you wouldn't know existed, and then other people would use your computer to upload to other people. And you wouldn't realize what you had on your computer. You would hide it and change the names and stuff. Yeah, it wasn't nice. So
you speak from experience.
I didn't do it, but someone else I knew did.
Ken, how did you steal content back in the early days of the internet? What was your program of choice?
Well, I went through all of them, actually. I went through Audio Galaxy for music. That was the thing. I did the whole BearShare, LimeWire, Kazaa, Napster, BitTorrent stuff. uTorrent was pretty much the last one that I stopped. Used.
I love conversations about old media stealing because we stole it back then and we're stealing it now, and we're gonna keep stealing it. Damn it! And so you make it convenient and relatively inexpensive to own. So that's what us pirates are gonna do. That's how we fight. That's how we fight the law, fight the man.
All right, I don't think I don't think anything else to say about this film. Any last thing to say before we go to Shelf Stacker Box? Okay.
Well, you were staring right at me.
I was staring at the kitten to see if she was going to meow and voice her complaint to what you're doing.
Right in the microphone, kitty, meow.
Okay, and that brings us to Shelf Stacker Box, and I'll go first since I have a controversial opinion. I'm actually going to put this in the box. I watched this movie twice. It's a great movie, but I never want to see it again because it creeped the hell out of me. I didn't sleep very good after I watched this movie.
We will watch it again.
It made me uneasy. We own it now, so it made me uneasy, so it's going in the box. Great movie, just not my thing. Not my thing at all. And what about you, Ken?
Oh, it's definitely going on the shelf for me. This movie is actually the first movie of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, which I would love to cover the rest of here someday. But it's just such a bleak movie that was probably hurt by the fact that it's one of the most nihilistic movies of all time. And like it may not be the perfect movie, but it's perfect for what it is.
What is the other Apocalypse trilogy movies?
The other Apocalypse trilogy movies are Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness.
Okay, I don't know either one.
I forget if In the Mouth of Madness is any good. When was that? Was that released relatively recently? I'm thinking of gosh, the other Lovecraft, not Color and Shape. That's a Foo Fighters record. Damn it! Stop thinking of that. Yes, thank you. Color and Shape.
Oh, Sam Neill.
Yes.
Okay.
You're in. He's in.
I'm in.
I know you are.
I really like Sam Neill.
Yes, I know you do.
Yeah, I really want to see Mouth of Madness. We can make that happen. I think let's set the whole calendar up right here for all our podcasts. Perfect.
I feel like I've seen Prince of Darkness, but I have no recollection of it.
Prince of Darkness stars Egg Shen from Big Trouble in Little China. I plays Wang is also in it. Donald Pleasant, the Dr. Loomis from Halloween, is also in it. It's basically like a Carpenter's also.
Alice Cooper is in it?
Alice Cooper's in it.
Oh, what the hell?
You win now?
Okay. And Tiffany, what about you? Shelf, stack, or box?
I'm borderline between shelf or stack because it has fond memories for me, a little 3-year-old child. Why are you shaking your head?
Because that entered a life of horror.
But I don't know how often I watch it, but I would still probably put it on the shelf.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Bill?
Well, before I state my shelf, stack, or box, which I think it should be painfully obvious what my opinion is at this point. I just want to state for the record that we should be ashamed as four people who enjoy movies that we've talked more about Blade Trinity than we have talked about The Thing. Okay, we have shame on all of us. Shame on all of us for only spending about 90 minutes at this point talking about this glorious piece of early 90s horror. So anyway, apologies to those who are listening.
Hey, this movie did not have vampire dildos, so I just
Vampire. Oh, we're watching that one.
and Blade Trinity.
Oh, let's watch that one.
Fuck out. Oh.
So I'll state it very quickly. This is absolutely a shelf. From the incredible effects, obviously even beyond the effects. The effects are amazing, right? They're wonderful. You watch them on YouTube, you go, and that's great. But golly, it's a masterwork of tension and tone, and it hits every single note it tries to play. And while I don't think I can say it's a perfect movie, there may be some tiny little hairline cracks. It's pretty close, and I'm looking forward to a full viewing on my own that I don't have to take notes for a show. And I apologize again. I don't have more material for you because of my lack of preparedness.
You remembered pretty well, though.
Again, this movie makes an impression.
It does.
So I'm glad I remember this.
I mean, it did. The fact that I remembered that ending and I remembered the part where he throws the dynamite near the end, I remembered all that clearly. When I first saw Palmer, I knew exactly that Palmer was going to break open. The last time I would have seen that scene of this movie would have been before I moved to Minnesota, which I moved to Minnesota in 2006, 2007. So, I mean, I hadn't seen, and I hadn't looked up anything about this movie. I hadn't touched anything with this film since then, and it stuck with me all this time. Out of all the bullshit I've watched, that stuck with me. So, I mean, this movie does leave a lasting impression. It just, again, horror movies are not my thing. I didn't even like Nightmare Before Christmas. That movie freaked me out. So,
how am I married to you? I need a divorce.
Okay, that's
right
nice.
now. All
right. So that's just me. Like it's people shouldn't take it as a thing of, a movie being bad. It's just I don't like horror movies. Like I just don't like things that creep me out. I just never will.
And yet you allow us to do this to you all the time.
Spooktovers. Every Spooktober I break down. Like when I was playing Doom 3 and I first started playing Doom 3 and I was like, oh great, here we go again, Spooktober. Every year. Same thing. It's just not, I only do it once a year. I mean, with my old cast, I used to do a lot more horror stuff, and then they left, and now I don't do any horror stuff, really, except for Spooktober. But we'll see.
I should go see all of them. There's a horror con coming this weekend, and like 2 or 3 actors from The Thing are coming.
Oh, come on.
Kurt Russell, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Let's see. Okay, so it's
but it's not Kurt
Clark,
Russell.
Richard Mosser, who played Clark, right? Am I right?
Sure.
Somebody.
Sure.
They're like, sure. And Thomas G. Waite, but I don't know who he played.
Okay.
Nobody?
Yeah, nothing.
So sorry.
All right, and I guess I don't have anything else to say. I hope you enjoyed this spooky episode, and Bill is right, which is kind of funny, because actually this is an hour and 18 raw audio at the moment, not hour and a half. So Bill, this is even shorter than what you were thinking from what we did on Blade Trinity.
About an hour.
It's a travesty.
I think we spent more time talking about Reanimator than we did this movie.
Well, Reanimator is just another piece of cinematic bliss. So.
I want to meet that actor now. I really do.
Oh,
the
she
guy
shows up
that,
at cons. Her,
yeah, he does. Just not around here. Like, I don't think, not since I realized he existed. Because he's a Star Trek actor, too. He played in a bunch of Deep Space Nine. Jeffrey Combs.
So he might come to
Combs, yeah.
Comic-Con.
No, he would come to HorrorCon because he's known for like Reanimator and other horror movies.
Oh.
He's
he
also
shows up
known.
to stuff. Yeah, he's shown up to stuff. So
Well, I would 100% go see him, but it wouldn't be for Reanimator. But I would make the joke. All right, and if you enjoyed this episode, you can also vote for the show on our Patreon. For a little as $1, you can vote in different polls. We have a poll every month, so you can help support the show and help affect some of the crap that I force myself to watch when spooky time comes around. It is not my choice. So, like every other poll, it mostly is. And we do have 2 polls going right now. We have a horror movie and a top 10 horror poll. I'm not going to say what they are because I don't even remember off the top of my head, but go check those out.
Mine's down there. It's not winning.
No, it's not. That's a good thing.
Rude. Shut up. I don't make you watch that movie, goddammit.
Okay. And what was I going to say? And check out Bill's podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40, where he interviews people how video games affect their life. See, that's the plug I use for you, Bill, every week. Because that seems the most accurate way to say it.
it's efficient, it's accurate, and it's lovely. If you asked me to do it, I would prattle on for a minute. So, and add more time to this already long episode about a beautiful film. So, please, thank you for your conciseness, sir.
And please, I am tired though. And then please check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We're on YouTube, audio only, but we are there. People think that when I post movies, it's actually the film. Nobody will in this case. It'll be too short, but it does happen sometimes. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fear. You can follow her on TikTok. And also, last thing I want to say is we have a Discord. Join our Discord, comment, talk with us. And
we have a Discord?
Yeah, I made a Discord finally.
What?
Like a month ago.
And you didn't tell
Really?
me?
Apparently not. Yeah, I have a Discord.
He didn't know either.
Apparently you don't listen to my plugs every week.
I don't listen to your podcast, so then I wouldn't listen.
Yeah, I know. Bill does at least.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Good for you, Bill. Good for you.
I do. Not just the episodes I'm on. I do.
Not just episodes.
I'm really, genuinely, really enjoying the 8 hours of memories for the 100K. I really am. Ken, I really liked your story. I thought it was really cool. So
you.
Oh, me?
Oh, maybe you, Ken. I don't know.
Oh, Ken.
Oh,
yours was too too.
Whatever.
Sorry. It was a work of art. It's one of the only things I consider a work of art that I've done on the show, really.
It was a good idea.
It was.
Pain in the ass. Good idea.
Yeah, my wife got mad at me, I think, sometimes too, but it was worth it.
I gotta go record for 15 minutes, 45 minutes later.
That's very accurate. I only had to record for 15. I just had to chat for half an hour. Come on now. All right, so if you can't find what you're looking for, you can find everything on Podbean. Our whole catalog is on Podbean. So check out our all our episodes. We have over 350 other episodes. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So long.